Hi, my name is Samantha and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about the Real Ladies of Loudoun County Holiday Expo 2024. Let's get into it. So I have worked with the Real Ladies of Loudoun County at multiple different events and times over the past couple of years. They are a social group, a social business group in Loudoun County run by a very nice lady. Her name is Roxy. She is very nice to work with, very easy to work with, communicates well, and I really enjoy working with her. This is the first time that I've done the Expo show with them. I have done I forget the name of it, but it's more of the smaller gatherings that they have like quarterly. And then I've also participated, she does like a holiday guide where she puts a bunch of businesses together. You have to pay for any of these things, but holiday guide where you put your business in there and then they send out the holiday guide to all of their subscribers. So I've done all of these things. I think I've done every type of thing that she has. I'm not sure if there's any other type of event that she has. I take that back. There's the wedding expo, but my product isn't really wedding. So I've not done that one, and that's not one that I would do. So I think I've done all of the types of events that I could do with her. And I honestly have not really been successful at any of them. I thought that like doing this holiday expo that I would finally be the right demographic for this one. The smaller shows, the reason I wasn't the right demographic is because there was only about 4 to 6 different businesses at a time at those shows, and they were more service-based businesses, so like salons or dermatology, things like that, where they're not trying to sell you a product in the moment, they're trying to sell you their services to come back later. So like I did okay at those shows, but not great. And then the holiday guide, that did not bring me any business. And then now that I've done the holiday expo, I would say the 3 types of people that were at the expo, like the 3 types of vendors that were at the expo. One, like I said, a lot of service businesses. So there was like martial arts, massage, salon, dermatology, facial, hair, what other kinds of business, preschools, like different like camps for kids, things like that. And then there was a ton of MLMs. And then the people that were handmade, which were few and far between, they were all trademarky. They had Marvel and Harry Potter and Disney and all sorts of that kinds of stuff for sale. So I didn't fall under any of those 3 categories. And for me, I should have noticed that it was Holiday Expo, not Holiday Craft Show. It was not a craft show. I think my booth looked really nice. It was $100 for one 6-foot table. I don't have 6-foot tables. I have 4-foot tables. So when I did my practice booth, I did a 4-foot table horizontal and then a 4-foot table vertical, so that then I would have 6 feet of front space. And I didn't know how tight we would all be together. But I figured that even if that back side of my table is not shoppable, I can still have products available. And I did not take a chair with me because I only had that 2x4 space to stand in, and I didn't know how much extra area there would be. I asked for a wall space so I could put my sign up. When I got there, I was actually in one of the center spots. I was not on the wall. It ended up being okay. I set up my booth. I did the L shape like I planned, and I got my sign like really tight in. Like my booth was like super tight together because the other people next to me, one person on one side was there, but the other person was not set up yet. So I didn't really know exactly where my boundaries were, like how far out I was allowed to go. Once the other people set up, there was a decent amount of space in our like standing back area. So I did scooch myself over a little bit. So there was a little bit of a gap between me and my neighbors, and I was able to pull my sign out a touch. So it ended up not being as claustrophobic as I thought it would be, but I did keep my tables tight together rather than spreading them out as like, because if I would have spread them out, it would have been 8 feet wide, but I kept it as the 6 foot wide so that I was still within the space. In my opinion, it was not worth it. I think my booth looked fantastic. There's nothing I would have done differently about my booth. But like I said, I think I was just not the target demographic of what the people who were showing up to shop were looking for. I had some people like come up to my booth and like touch things and like give me some compliments, and I'm talking to them, telling them about my product, and they weren't really interested. I ended up having 4 sales the whole day. I had $80 in sales, average dollar $22. So and that's just sales, that's not even profit, and the booth cost $100. I did not spend any money there. I didn't buy from any of the other booths. So when they were all credit card transactions, so I had $2.60 in fees. So money wise, it was not worth it in any way. And then connections wise, it wasn't totally worth it. I didn't like gain more subscribers on YouTube. I didn't really like have another vendor there to talk to that like would be in a similar what am I trying to say? Like sometimes I like try to work towards my relationships with other vendors and like learn from them. I didn't really like increase my relationships that much at that show. I sold 12 jar openers, so that was $72 in jar openers, 1 reusable towel, $16. I took a couple clips. There is a 12:30 clip. So the show was from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So here's a clip of midday. When the show did start, there were people lined up waiting to come in, and like they came in and then they just dispersed, right? And then there was never really like a buildup of customers after that. There was not a ton of customers the entire time. And then so like my pros and cons. So the first pro was like that there was a line of people waiting to come in at 11 a.m. The second pro was that there was free Wi-Fi, so that was nice to be able to connect my Square reader to the Wi-Fi rather than trying to hotspot off of my phone. And then the last pro was that it was safe and easy. I didn't have any issues with theft. Getting in and getting out of the building was really easy. It only took me 1 wagon to get in and out. There was a ramp, so there was no big deal of like coming in and coming out. Set up my booth, found my spot. It was nice and easy. The cons, the first con was the lack of signage. So when I pulled in, if you've ever been to Claude Park, it's off of a main road in Sterling. There was no signage anywhere near like the stoplight there. Claude does have like, like the church letter signs where like each individual letter gets put in. The sign did not say anything about the show. Next to the traffic light, there was no like yard signs. There was nothing indicating that there was a show going on. So it is my belief that the only customers that we had were people that either already knew it was going on because of online posting and advertising, or people that were at Claude working out because there's a gym in that area. In that building. So those were the only 2 types of customers that I believe that we had, because there was no signage. There was also no signage within the building. Like inside of the building, there was no signage saying craft room this way. I did speak to the event host about this and asked right at the beginning of the show before it even started at 9 a.m. I asked, is there going to be signage put out, because there was nothing driving in. And I was told that the venue was not promoting our show, and so that's why there was no signage. So I don't totally understand what that means. I don't understand why signs couldn't be put out by the event host to promote people to come into the show. But I definitely think that hurt the amount of customers that could come in. Leads us to the next con, was that there was just a lack of customers. There weren't that many customers to begin with. There were customers walking around. It wasn't completely dead, but there weren't enough customers. And then the early setup. So the show was from 11 to 2. You could only have 1 6-foot table, and we were told to be there at 9 a.m. It does not take 2 hours to set up 1 table. However, I did what I was told. I was told to be there at 9, so I went. I got there at 9. I was set up within 30 minutes. I took my time setting up because, if I had 2 hours to set up, I don't need to rush and be done in 15 minutes. So I just took my time, made sure everything was how I wanted it. I did a setup a couple days prior and like checked how I wanted things, and then because I was able to have both sides of my tables shoppable, I made a couple changes to make it more enticing. I did use my bubble letters for the first time. They ended up putting holes in my tablecloth the way that I had the clips, so that was not great. I did ask a couple people's opinion, and they could tell that it said jar opener. I'm not totally happy with the sign. It was great testing it out and I got to use it, but it didn't totally work how I wanted it to. So I think I'm going to go back to the drawing board and make a couple changes with it, but it was cool to have. But it did not take me 2 hours to set up, right? So like I said, I didn't bring a chair because I didn't know what this situation would be. And, you know, in the whole thing it said like, you have to bring your own chairs, you have to bring your own tables, nothing will be provided. I did see some other vendors taking chairs from the hallway. I did not do that because we were told not to use the chairs at the building, and I didn't want to have to put it back afterwards. So I just sat on the floor and read on my Kindle when I had an hour and a half to wait for the show to start, posted on my social media. I'd love to hear your opinion on this. So as I'm setting up, I only have 2 4-foot tables. So that's not very much surface area. That's not very much table space, right? And in my opinion, if you're another vendor and it's setup time, if you're done setting up, there's nothing wrong with walking around, looking at other people's booths, maybe offering a compliment or a question here or there, right? But you don't walk up to somebody's booth. You don't touch things that they're trying to put out if they're clearly not done setting up. Like, I had this other vendor come up to my booth and she was like actively like going through the stuff on my table, and I was not done setting up. Like, it only took me 30 minutes to set up, so this must have been within the first 15 minutes. So it's 9:15 and I'm trying to like set up, right? And I was just like, what is happening? And you never know who knows somebody. You never know who's gonna buy something from you, right? Like, what if she would have spent $100 on my product? I don't know. So I didn't say anything. I was just like, good morning, you know, like, and just was happy and cheerful and did not cause any issues and did not rock the boat. But I'm like, what are you doing? Like, get away from my table. Like, let me set up. Like, it's different if I was like done setting up and everything was like put in its place, but like I was clearly still putting things out of bins. I was moving things where they were supposed to be going. And then I had to stop and wait because she was standing in front of the table that I was trying to work on. So I was just like, what is happening? Like, I've never had that happen before. So I would love to know your opinion, how you would have handled it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's totally fine to be like touching somebody's product while they're trying to set up, and like maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'd love to know your opinion on that. That just like bothered me because I'm like, I'm in the middle of setting up. I'm not done. Let me finish. And then we could talk. Then we can, you know, touch the product and stuff. But like, I need to set up and then, you know, go from there. I also have a clip of when I was done setting up. So 9:30. So everybody should have been there by 9:30 if we were supposed to be there by 9, right? You can see how empty the gym is. And then I have another clip of at like, I think it was like 10:50 or 10:55. So right before we opened, I filmed the whole thing. One of the tables didn't even show up until like 10:50, and then they didn't even bring a table. The event host or the venue gave them a table. So I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I cannot believe that happened. Obviously I don't know all the details. I don't know like what happened. Maybe something happened and I don't know, like they lost their table or got in a car accident, or I don't know because I was not a part of it. I was just observing. So that's all I observed. But it was pretty interesting. So yeah, so 9:30 versus like 10:55 versus 12:30 versus 2 p.m. If you like see all the clips that I posted on here, it's crazy the difference. Like 2 p.m. is when the show ended. The show was only from 11 to 2. And I would say like 10 or 15 of the vendors were already packed up and leaving at that time. I was just like, oh my goodness. Okay. Granted, I probably should have packed up early and just left, but I'm not going to ruin my relationship that I already have. I have a positive relationship, and, you know, it was only 3 hours. And what else am I going to do? I've already committed my day to being there, so I might as well stay, right? So I stayed till 2 p.m., packed up. I think it took me like 15 minutes to pack up or something. And then I went about my day, you know? So I don't know. Like I said, like my overall points, I wouldn't do it again. I don't think I'll do any other Real Ladies of Loudoun County shows because I don't think that I'm the target demographic. I think that other people did do well at the show if you fell under one of the 3 categories. If you're an MLM, if you were a service business, or if you were selling trademark stuff, I do think that those people did well because I could see that their products were dwindling and getting smaller. So I was just not the target demographic for the customers that were coming to the show. I had a great setup. I don't think that there's anything I could have done better to change my setup, so I don't think that impacted my sales. I'm proud that it was 1 trip in, 1 trip out. And then the whole time, like during the show, so 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., I didn't sit down. I didn't play on my phone. I didn't read. Like, I was like focused on the customers, smiling, interacting, trying the best I could to get the sales I could. And it still didn't help. So that's why I don't think I'll do any more shows. Nothing like negative happened, right? Like there wasn't like some detrimental thing that happened, but I just don't think that I'm a good fit. I don't think that I'm what customers are looking for when they're coming to these events. So, it's been a hard year trying to find shows that work in Pennsylvania, trying to find new shows in Virginia. This weekend was supposed to be when I would be at RLOLC, but it is my belief that because the other crafter that I was competing against and we had similar products, since she started making jar openers, I cannot get into the show. I have been waitlisted and have not been able to get in. Even though I've applied for the shows within an hour of the application being dropped, I went and applied for the shows. So we'll see. Like I said, the spring application, I applied to that within an hour of the application dropping. So hopefully I can get back in. But I don't think I can. I don't think I can get into that show anymore, which is really hard for me because that was my most profitable show. It was the lowest cost, easiest show to do. I had great customers, repeat customers. I had my setup down pat. I had a great spot. And, I missed one show when I moved to Ohio, and then the other vendor started making jar openers, and I don't think that I'll ever get into the show again. I'm going to keep applying and see what happens, but I cannot seem to find another show to replace the amount of sales that I would do at this show and that it's worth my time. Like, I'm not looking to make $1,000 at each one of these shows, but if I spent $100 on a show, I'm looking at least make $200 or $300. I didn't even make $100 at the show, and that's $100 in sales, not even $100 in profit. So it cost me money to be at the show. And if it cost me money to be at the show, I hope that then I would have increased my vendor relationships or increased my YouTube subscribers or online presence, and those things didn't happen either. So in all, this was not a beneficial show for me. It was not profitable or productive of my Sunday being there, especially because I spent 7.5 hours driving to this show. I live in Pennsylvania, so it took me 3 hours to drive down, 3 hours to drive back. And then from my parents' house, it took me 45 minutes each way to drive. So that's 7.5 hours that I spent driving to go to this show. So all of those things combined was not worth it. Of the new jar openers that I made, I sold one of the new holiday prints. So yeah, I wouldn't do the show again. That's how I spent my Sunday. I don't know what else I could have done in that moment to fix things. I think I did the best that I could do. I just need to find a better show to replace the RLOLC show that I can't get into anymore. So let me know if you have any successful shows either in Pennsylvania, in the Hershey, Hazleton area. So I think that would be classified as central PA. Or if you have any Northern Virginia, any Nova shows that are good, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'd love to take them into consideration. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.